Digital Learning. Today we are going to learn about a new chapter, which is the Electoral Politics. As the chapter's name suggests, that we are going to learn about the elections in this particular chapter, and we are going to see that what kind of electoral system is there in India as well. Okay, so before beginning our discussion with respect to this chapter, let's just see an example which has been provided in your book, which is of Haryana Assembly election. In this particular case study, it has been showed that there are two political parties in 1987 in Haryana elections, and that one is the INC and the another one is Lokdal, whose head is Devilal. Devilal is now, kind of conducting a Nyay Yuddh, or we can say struggle for justice, to win this particular election. His election tactics has helped him to get 76 out of 90 seats in the Haryana Assembly, right? And this is how he wins the election. However, in the next elections, that is in 1991, he loses the election, and instead of Lokdal, the Indian National Congress forms the government. So can you see there is a difference that in the one election, another party wins, and in the another one, some other party comes to the power. So this is how we can say elections plays a very important role in this particular scenario. As we can see, we can say that, or we can ask a question to ourselves that why do we need some elections? So the answer with respect to that would be considering a scenario where there is no democracy. When there is no democracy in the country, we can say people sit together, or we can say all the people of the country are sitting together and taking decisions on the all major policy decisions, right? But this can be a very cumbersome process, of course, because we do not have time and knowledge with respect to these particular situations, right? So to we can say ease out the major difficult, or we can say decisions. So to ease out the this particular situation, that is that all people are not having that particular amount of knowledge and time to take major decisions. That is why we consider a case of having a democracy, or we can say elections, where we kind of with voters elect their representatives, and these representatives in turn helps them to take the decisions or for the country and make the government, right? So in the elections, what voters do, they make choices to who will form the laws for them, who will form the government, which party would rule, etc. So this is how voters kind of have their own choices in these elections. So we can ask another question, which is why, or we can say what makes an election democratic? अब elections तो conduct हो गए, लेकिन what will make them democratic? So the first and the foremost thing is that there should be an ability to choose with everybody. For example, everyone must have right to vote. At least they are, they should be or made capable of choosing. Or the value of every vote should be equal to 1, or we can say they should have equal value. So that is the first point. Second one is they should have real choices. What do you mean by real choices? For example, as we can consider the example of China, that though China says that it is a democratic country, however, the voters over there do not have real choices. Only there is one representative from the one party, then there is no option at all, right? अगर MCQ हुआ और अगर MCQ में केवल एक ही ऑप्शन है, so is that any sort of MCQ we can say, or we can say there is no multiple choices for the voters as well. So this is how one should have real choices in the elections as well. Third one is that these choices should be available to the people in a regular intervals. For example, एक बार election conduct करवा दिया, and for the next 10 or 15 years there is no election, then what will happen? People will get suffocated because of all these situations, and the ruling party get the or we can say misuse its powers, right? So there should be at regular intervals of the elections, right? Next one is that the candidate preferred by the people must be elected. जो कैंडिडेट लोगों को पसंद आ रहा है, उसी पर्टिकुलर कैंडिडेट को क्या होना चाहिए? इलेक्ट होना चाहिए, राइट? एंड लास्ट वन इज दैट देयर शुड बी अ बॉडी टू कंडक्ट फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शंस. किसी भी तरीके की कोई माल प्रैक्टिस नहीं होनी चाहिए. इलेक्शंस कैसे होने चाहिए? प्रॉपर मैनर में होने चाहिए, प्रॉपर सिस्टमैटिक मैनर में होने चाहिए, राइट? So we can ask another question with respect to all these points, that is it good to have a political competition? For example, as we have studied in the example of Haryana Assembly, that there was a competition between Indian National Congress and the Lok Dal. And in one election, Lok Dal wins, and in the another one, INC wins. So what kind of situation it is? Of course, this is a situation of political competition. मतलब real choices provide होने के बाद जो एक proper fair competition का scenario rise होता है, जहाँ पे लोगों के पास real choices हैं and they can choose their government or we can say representative accordingly. So political competition ज़रूरी है या नहीं है, इसके पहले हम एक क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं अपने आप से that what would be the situation when there would be no competition, or we can say without political competition what will happen. As I have already mentioned about the example of China, so we can consider another example of North Korea, that you all are aware that who is the leader of North Korea, right? Kim Jong-un. So he provides the election, he also conducts election in its country, right? But still that election is pointless because all are supposed to vote for whom? Of course the Kim, right? So that this is a we can say if there would be no political competition, then elections would be just a waste of money and nothing else, because उसका result क्या होगा? कुछ भी नहीं होगा, just एक activity conduct करवा लिए, like that. So we can ask or we can say that is why political competition is important. However, there are demerits associated with that as well. For example, it may lead to the factionalism. लोगों के बीच में एक divide हो सकता है that लोग parties को लेकर के that some people support one party, some other support another party, and they can fight over all these things. Second one can be that the parties blame each other and play blame game. Like one ruling party is there, they blame opposition party and the vice versa. So this is how a political competition can be a demerit as well. And the third one is, of course, parties use dirty tricks. For example, they use muscle and money power to win the elections. But still, because considering all these demerits, still the political competition is required for the country. Why? As we have seen that in particular election, Lok Dal won the elections, but in the next one, INC wins the elections, right? So we can see that because of the political competition, people had choice to remove the party, or we can say representative, if they do not do or work for the welfare of the people. So there is a kind of checks and balances with respect to political competition, right? And whatever we have discussed with respect to demerits, we can eliminate, or we can say at least reduce these demerits with the help of we can say choosing the candidates who are of particular knowledge, having particular knowledge and experience, character, etc. So this is how we can use political competition for a country to make elections more democratic.